I was standing in my brand new beach house, holding a glass of wine, watching the most beautiful sunset I had ever seen paint the ocean in shades of gold and pink. The boxes were half unpacked around me. The ocean breeze was flowing through the open windows, and I was thinking this was it. This was the life I had worked 40 years to earn. Then my phone rang. It was my son Brandon. Before I could tell him how happy I was, he said, "Move to the guest room. We are bringing Courtney's whole family for an extended stay, and if you don't like it..." I heard there is a nursing home down the street. The line went dead. I stood there, staring at my phone like it had just turned into a snake. My hands started shaking so badly I had to set down my wine glass before I dropped it. I tried calling Brandon back immediately. It rang 4 times and went to voicemail. I tried again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. My mind was racing. Had I heard him correctly? Moved to the guest room? Courtney's whole family? A nursing home? This had to be some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe he was joking. Brandon had never been the warmest son, but he would not talk to me like that. He could not talk to me like that. I paced through the empty rooms of my new house, my bare feet on the cool hardwood floors I had chosen so carefully. Every detail of this place had been selected with love. The soft gray walls, the white trim, the huge windows that let in the ocean light. I had sold my company 3 months ago, after building it from nothing for 4 decades. This house was my reward, my sanctuary, my dream. I barely slept that night. I kept replaying Brandon's words in my mind, trying to find some other meaning in them. By morning, I had convinced myself that we just needed to have a calm conversation. He was my son. We would talk this through like adults. I made coffee and watched the sunrise, practicing what I would say. I would be firm but loving. I would explain that I had just moved in, that this was my retirement home, and that while I was happy to host them for a visit someday with proper notice, they could not simply take over my house. At 10 o'clock in the morning, I heard car doors slamming outside. Multiple car doors. I walked to the front window and felt my stomach drop. 3 cars were parked in my driveway and along the curb. Brandon got out of the first one with Courtney. Then people just kept emerging. An older couple, a young man and woman, another couple, a child. I counted 7 people, plus Brandon and Courtney. 9 people total. I opened the front door and stepped onto my porch, trying to keep my expression calm and welcoming. Brandon was already pulling suitcases out of his trunk. He barely glanced at me. "Brandon, honey, we need to talk," I said. "Not now, Mom. We have a lot to unpack." "Brandon, please. This is not a good time for a visit. I just moved in. I am still getting settled." Courtney walked past me carrying 2 beach bags and a cooler, her sunglasses pushed up on her head. "Daniela, we drove 4 hours. We are exhausted. We will talk later." The older woman, who I assumed was Courtney's mother, gave me a tight smile. "You must be Daniela. I am Diane. This is my husband, Frank. We are so excited to spend time at your gorgeous beach house. Courtney has told us so much about it." "I am sorry, but there has been a misunderstanding," I started. Brandon interrupted me. "Mom, you have 4 bedrooms and it is just you. Stop being selfish. Let us get inside. It is hot out here." Selfish. He had called me selfish. In front of all these strangers. They pushed past me with luggage, coolers, beach equipment, bags of groceries. The younger man, who introduced himself as Tyler, Courtney's brother, actually patted my shoulder as he walked by. "Thanks for having us, Daniela. This is really generous of you." I stood in my own doorway, speechless, as these people invaded my home. Inside, it was chaos. Courtney was directing everyone like a general. "Tyler and Crystal, you take the room at the end of the hall. Bethany and Jeremy, you and Austin can have the room next to the bathroom. Mom and Dad, you get the room with the ocean view. Brandon and I will take the master." "Wait." I finally found my voice. "You cannot just take the master bedroom, that is my room." Brandon turned to me with an expression I had never seen before. Cold, hard. "Mom, go relax in the guest room. We will talk later." "Brandon, I need to explain something to you. I just moved in. This is my retirement home. I cannot have 9 people staying here. It is too much. You should have asked me first." Diane appeared at my elbow with a concerned look. "Daniela, honey, At your age, you should be grateful for family around. My friend Sarah, her mother, lives alone and she fell in the bathroom. They did not find her for 3 days. 3 days. You were lucky to have Brandon looking out for you. At my age. I was 62 years old. I had just sold a successful marketing firm. I ran 5 miles 3 times a week. I was not some fragile old woman who needed looking after. Frank, Courtney's father, had already gone out to my deck with a bag of charcoal and was setting up to grill. He had not asked, he was just doing it. On my brand new deck. With my brand new grill that I had not even used yet. I tried one more time. Brandon, I really need to talk to you. Alone, please. He sighed like I was the most irritating person on the planet. Fine. Later. Right now I need to help Courtney unpack. Go rest, Mom. You look tired. I did not look tired. I looked upset. But he had already turned away, carrying suitcases toward my master bedroom. I stood in my own living room, surrounded by strangers unpacking in my house, and felt tears burning behind my eyes. I would not cry. I would not give them the satisfaction. I retreated to the smallest guest room, the one I had planned to use as an office. There was just a twin bed in there and a small dresser. I sat on the edge of the bed and listened to the sounds of my house being taken over. Laughter, running water, footsteps, voices calling to each other, a child yelling. I pulled out my laptop and opened it on my lap. I was not some helpless old lady. I was Daniela Hernandez, and I had not built a successful company by rolling over when people tried to push me around. If Brandon wanted to play games, fine. I could play too. I started typing notes. Date, time, everyone who was here, everything that had been said. I would document everything. That evening, I stayed in the small guest room during dinner. I could hear them all on my deck, laughing and talking, the smell of Frank's grilling wafting through the house. Around 9 o'clock, when things had quieted down, I crept out to get some water. I passed the master bedroom. The door was slightly open. I heard Brandon's voice and froze. Don't worry, he was saying. She will move out within a month. We just need to make it uncomfortable enough. This house should have been mine anyway, after everything I have done for her. Courtney's voice responded. Are you sure this will work? Trust me. She is getting old and forgetful. We will document everything. She will not know what hit her. I stood in the hallway, my hand over my mouth, unable to breathe. This was not a misunderstanding. This was not a communication problem. This was a plan. A calculated, deliberate plan to push me out of my own house. I walked backward, silently, until I was back in the guest room. I closed the door and locked it. Then I sat on the twin bed and stared at the wall. My son was trying to steal my house. I did not sleep much that night. By morning, I had made a decision. I would fight this legally. I would document everything they did, contact an attorney, and politely but firmly ask them to leave. This was America. You could not just take over someone's property. The law would protect me. I spent the morning on my laptop researching real estate attorneys in the area. I found one named Harold Patterson, who specialized in property disputes. His office was 20 minutes away. I called and made an appointment for the next afternoon. Then I started keeping detailed notes on my phone. Every interaction, every conversation, timestamps on everything. At lunch, I tried to establish some boundaries. I walked into the kitchen where Courtney and Diane were making sandwiches and said, I think we need to set some house rules while you are visiting. Courtney looked at me with this pitying expression. Of course, Daniela. What did you have in mind? Well, first, I think we need to discuss how long you are planning to stay. I was not prepared for a long visit. Brandon walked in and immediately his expression hardened. Mom, we need to have a family meeting. Everyone, can you come into the living room? Within minutes, they were all gathered. Brandon stood in the center like he owned the place. I asked everyone here because I am concerned about Mom. She seems confused. I think the stress of the move has been too much for her. I felt my face flush. I am not confused, Brandon. I am trying to have a conversation about boundaries. See? He gestured at me. She is getting defensive. This is what I have been worried about. Diane nodded sympathetically. My mother was the same way before her diagnosis. The denial is the first stage. I am not in denial about anything, I said, my voice rising. I am trying to tell you that you cannot just move into my house without asking." Courtney spoke slowly and loudly, like I was hard of hearing. "Daniela, sweetie, we are family. Family helps each other. You are going through a big transition. Let us help you." "I do not need help. I need my house back." Brandon shook his head sadly. "This is exactly what I was afraid of. Mom, I think the move was too stressful. Let us help reduce some of your responsibilities. Do you know where your important papers are? Your financial documents? Let me organize those for you. Take some of that stress off your plate." "My papers are fine. I do not need you organizing anything." He exchanged a look with Courtney, the kind of look that said, "See how bad she is?" Over the next few days, things got progressively worse. They started treating me like I was mentally declining. Diane would say things like, "Bless your heart, you are not making sense today." Frank would repeat things to me slowly, using small words. Tyler kept asking if I had taken my vitamins, like I was a child. On the third day, I went to leave for my attorney appointment. My car keys were not on the hook by the door where I always kept them. I searched everywhere. Finally, I asked Brandon if he had seen them. "Oh, Mom, I moved those. You seemed disoriented yesterday when you were talking about driving. I am worried about you behind the wheel. Let me drive you wherever you need to go." I was not disoriented. "Give me my keys, Brandon. Let us talk to a doctor first. If the doctor says you are fine to drive, I will give them back. I am just worried about your safety." I felt panic rising. Without my car, I was trapped. "Brandon, give me my keys right now." "Mom, you are getting agitated. This is part of what I am worried about. Mood swings, aggression. These are signs." That afternoon, Courtney called someone. I heard her on the phone in the other room. "Amanda? Hi, it is Courtney. I am calling about your mom. Brandon and I are really worried. She is struggling more than we expected. We are here trying to help, but she is being really resistant. Yesterday, she got lost trying to walk to the mailbox. We had to go find her. That was a complete lie. I had walked to the mailbox, gotten the mail, and walked back. The mailbox was at the end of the driveway. You could see it from the house. When Amanda called me an hour later, I tried to explain what was really happening, but I could hear the doubt in her voice. Brandon was her big brother. She had always looked up to him. And I had to admit, when I tried to tell her that Brandon was trying to steal my house, that they were all pretending I was mentally declining, it sounded paranoid. It sounded exactly like something a confused elderly person would say. "Mom," Amanda said gently, "maybe you should let them help you. I know you have always been independent, but you are not young anymore. There is no shame in accepting support." Even my own daughter did not believe me. That night, Frank cornered me in the kitchen. He was a retired banker, he told me, and he noticed I did not have anyone listed on my bank accounts in case of emergency. "At your age, Daniela, you should really have a backup. What if something happens to you? Brandon should be on your accounts, just for safety." "My accounts are fine the way they are. I am just trying to help. I have seen so many seniors get into financial trouble because they do not have proper oversight. Let me look at your documents. I can organize everything for you." They were circling me like sharks. On the 5th day, Brandon announced he had made me a doctor's appointment. "Just a checkup, Mom, a wellness visit. Dr. Wesley Hartman. He is a geriatric specialist, very well respected. I have a doctor. I do not need a geriatric specialist. I am 62, not 90. Humor me, please." I was running out of options. I had no car keys, no access to my attorney. My daughter thought I was declining. My son had made me a doctor's appointment I did not need. And they were all looking at my financial documents and important papers every chance they got. That night, I could not sleep. I got up around 2 in the morning and crept through the quiet house. Everyone was asleep. I went to the kitchen to get water and noticed Brandon's briefcase on the counter. He never left that thing out. It was always locked in his room. I should not have looked. I knew it was wrong, but something made me open it. Inside, under some file folders, was a document. Power of attorney, my name on it, my signature on it, except I had never signed it. I held it up to the kitchen light, my hands shaking. The signature looked like mine. Very close, but it was not mine. The date on the document was from 3 weeks ago, before I had even closed on this house, before Brandon had any reason to think I needed help with anything. There was a notary stamp. A notary I had never met. This was a forgery, a planned, premeditated forgery. I stood in my kitchen at 2 a.m, holding forged legal documents, and realized I was in much more danger than I had thought. This was not just them being pushy or overstepping boundaries. This was fraud. This was criminal. I used my phone to take photographs of the document from every angle. Then I carefully put everything back exactly how I had found it. Back in the guest room, I tried to call Harold Patterson's after-hours number. The phone rang twice. Then the line picked up. But it was not Harold. It was Brandon. "Mom, it is 2:30 a.m. What are you doing with my phone? You are getting worked up. You need to sleep. We will talk in the morning." He had my phone. When had he taken my phone? I looked at what I was holding. It was his phone. They looked similar. In the dark, I had grabbed the wrong one from the counter. "Give me my phone, Brandon. You need to rest. The doctor's appointment is tomorrow. Let us get through that first." He walked out, taking his phone and mine with him. I was now without my phone, without my car keys, and surrounded by people who were forging legal documents. I lay in the dark, listening to Brandon and Courtney whispering in the master bedroom about moving forward with the plan, about my doctor's appointment tomorrow, about how everything was falling into place. I was trapped in my own house. I woke up to Brandon knocking on the guest room door. "Mom, get dressed. Your doctor's appointment is at 10. I had spent the night formulating a plan. I would go to the appointment, I would be completely rational and coherent, and I would find a way to tell the doctor what was really happening. Surely a medical professional would see through this. Brandon drove me to the office. I noticed he took my purse with us, but he kept it in the front seat. When we arrived and went into the waiting room, he pulled out paperwork and started filling it out for me. "I can do that myself," I said. "I know, Mom. I am just helping." But he did not hand me the clipboard. He filled it all out himself while I sat there. I watched him check boxes. I could not see everything he was marking, but I caught glimpses. Memory problems, confusion, difficulty with daily activities, wandering, paranoia, aggression. All lies. All designed to make me look incompetent. When we were called back, I thought I would see the doctor alone. But Brandon stood up with me. "I should come with you," he said. "No. I will see the doctor by myself." The nurse, a kind-looking woman in her 40s, looked between us. It is actually helpful to have family members present for geriatric assessments. They can provide additional information. Before I could argue, Brandon was following me into the exam room. Dr. Wesley Hartman was a thin man with gray hair and gentle eyes. He seemed kind. He smiled at me warmly and shook my hand. "Miss Hernandez, nice to meet you. I understand you recently moved to the area?" "Yes. I bought a beach house. I just retired." "Wonderful. Congratulations on your retirement. What did you do for work?" "I owned a marketing firm. I sold it 3 months ago." "Impressive. That must have been a big transition." We talked for a while about my health history, my exercise routine, my diet. I answered every question perfectly. I was articulate, coherent, and clear. I thought I was doing well. Then Dr. Hartman started asking other questions. "Have you noticed any changes in your memory recently?" "No. My memory is fine." "Do you ever have trouble finding words?" "No more than anyone else." "Any difficulty with daily tasks? Managing finances, cooking, driving?" "None at all." Brandon cleared his throat. "Doctor, can I add something?" "She has been having some issues. Last week she left a pot on the stove and it burned. She forgot about it completely. And she has been getting confused about conversations we have had. She will insist we never talked about something when we definitely did." I turned to stare at him. "That is not true." "None of that is true." Dr. Hartman made a note. "It is very common for patients to not recognize their own symptoms. That is actually one of the markers we look for." "I am not confused. He is lying." "Mom, see? This is what I mean. You are getting defensive and agitated. Because you are making things up." The more I protested, the worse it looked. Every time I contradicted Brandon's lies, it seemed like confusion. Every time I got upset, it looked like aggression and mood instability. By the end of the appointment, Dr. Hartman looked concerned. He recommended I start on a mild medication to help with anxiety and sleep. He suggested a follow-up appointment in 2 weeks. He gently recommended that Brandon keep a close eye on me. I left that office feeling defeated. Brandon filled the prescription immediately at the pharmacy next door. That night, he handed me a pill with a glass of water. Doctor's orders, Mom. I took the pill from him, put it in my mouth, and drank the water. He watched me swallow. Then he walked away satisfied. The moment he was gone, I spit the pill into my hand and flushed it down the toilet. I looked at the prescription bottle. The medication could cause drowsiness, confusion, and difficulty concentrating. They were trying to actually make me impaired. The next morning, Diane shrieked from the kitchen. "Oh my God, Daniela, did you leave the stove on last night?" Everyone came running. There was a pot on the stove with burn marks on the bottom. The kitchen smelled like burned metal. "I did not use the stove last night," I said. Diane held up the pot. "Daniela, honey, this could have caused a fire. We could have all died in our sleep. I did not do that. I did not cook anything." Frank was already taking photos with his phone. "We should document this. For her safety." Brandon put his arm around me. To anyone watching, it looked comforting, but I could feel the tightness of his grip. "It is okay, Mom. Accidents happen. This is why we are here. To keep you safe." I had not left that pot on the stove. One of them had staged it. I knew it, but I could not prove it. That afternoon, Bethany posted on social media. I saw it when I finally got my phone back briefly. The post had a photo of the beach and said, "Spending time with family, helping my mother-in-law who is going through a difficult time. Grateful we can be here for her. Family first, blessed, caregiving." She was documenting our presence here, making it look like they were my caregivers, like I needed them. That night, I decided I had to leave. I had to get out of this house and find help. I found my spare car keys, the ones I kept hidden in my bedroom, except I was not in my bedroom anymore. I was in the guest room. It took me an hour of searching to remember where I had packed them. Finally, at 2 a.m, I crept out to my car in the driveway. I had my purse with my wallet and ID. I would drive to a hotel. I would contact a different attorney in the morning. I would figure this out. I was almost to my car when I saw the glow of a cigarette in the dark. Tyler was sitting on the porch steps. "Could not sleep either?" he said pleasantly. "Mind if I join you for some air?" My heart was pounding. I was just going to take a drive. "At 2 a.m, is that safe?" "I am fine." He stood and walked over, still friendly, still casual. "Brandon mentioned you have been having some trouble with confusion. My dad had dementia, started just like this. Denial, paranoia, wandering at night. It is hard. But at least you have family to help. That is what matters." He was blocking my path to the car. Not aggressively, but definitely blocking it. "I am not confused," I said quietly. "Of course not." But his expression said he did not believe me. I turned and went back inside. There was no point. They were watching me. Back in the guest room, I sat on the bed and felt despair washing over me. They had thought of everything. I was surrounded, outnumbered, and every attempt I made to help myself was being twisted into evidence of my decline. Around 3 a.m, I got up to use the bathroom. On the way back, I passed the master bedroom. Brandon's voice drifted out. He was on the phone with someone. "Gary, the medical documentation is building. One more incident and we can file for emergency guardianship. Then we will have full control of the assets. The house alone is worth $1.3 million. We just need her to seem unstable enough that a judge will grant it." I stood frozen in the hallway. Guardianship. They wanted legal guardianship over me. That would strip me of all my rights. I would not be able to make any decisions about my own life, my own money, my own home. I would be legally declared incompetent. They could institutionalize me. They could take everything. I went back to the guest room and sat in the dark until sunrise. I decided I needed to appear compliant while secretly gathering evidence. For the next few days, I acted confused and docile. I pretended to take the medications. I let them help me with things I did not need help with. And I documented everything on my hidden iPad mini, the one they did not know I had. But things got worse faster than I had anticipated. On day 8, a man in a cheap suit knocked on the door. He was a process server. He handed me legal papers and had me sign for them. Brandon had filed for emergency temporary guardianship. I sat on the couch reading through the petition with shaking hands. It included Dr. Hartman's notes from my appointment. It included photos of the burned pot. It included written statements from Brandon, Courtney, Diane, Frank, and Tyler. All of them swearing that I was confused, forgetful, and a danger to myself. There was even a statement from my own daughter, Amanda. She wrote that she was concerned about my mental state, that I had sounded paranoid when she talked to me, and that she supported Brandon's efforts to help me. The hearing was scheduled in 3 days. 3 days to lose everything. I tried calling Harold Patterson, the real estate attorney. His secretary put me through. I started trying to explain what was happening, but I could hear the doubt in his voice. Brandon had already called him. Brandon had told him I was unwell and might call sounding confused. Harold suggested gently that maybe I should listen to my family during this difficult time. He said he could not take my case because it sounded like I needed a different kind of help. Even the lawyer did not believe me. The next day, I discovered my bank accounts had been frozen. Brandon had filed emergency papers with the court claiming I was making irrational financial decisions. I could not access my money. I could not hire a lawyer to fight back. I was financially trapped. Amanda called that afternoon. Courtney had been talking to her regularly, feeding her information. Amanda was worried. She wanted to help, but she thought helping meant supporting Brandon. "Mom, I know this is hard. I know you have always been independent, but you are not young anymore. Maybe this is for the best. Brandon loves you. He just wants to keep you safe." I tried to explain. I tried to tell her about the forged power of attorney, about the staged incidents, about the plan I had overheard. But the more I talked, the more paranoid I sounded. "Mom, listen to yourself. You think Brandon is plotting against you? He is your son. He is trying to help you." I realized I had lost my daughter, too. That night, Courtney's family staged another incident. I was exhausted and had fallen asleep early in the guest room. I woke up at 4 a.m. to voices outside. I looked out the window. Jeremy was on the beach with his phone, filming. He was calling up toward the house, "Daniela? Daniela, come back. You are going the wrong way." I was not on the beach. I was in my bed. But in the morning, Jeremy had a video. It showed me on the beach at 4 a.m. in my nightgown, looking confused, walking in circles. When Jeremy called to me in the video, I walked the wrong direction, away from the house. Except that was not me. The figure was too far away to see clearly. It could have been anyone in a nightgown. But the video was time-stamped and damning. Brandon added it to the guardianship petition. I had one day until the hearing. I had no lawyer, no money, no witnesses on my side. All the evidence made me look incompetent. My own daughter had submitted a statement against me. I was going to lose everything. That night, I could not sleep. I sat on the floor of the guest room, going through boxes I had not yet unpacked from my move. I was looking for anything that might help me. Old financial records. Proof of my competency. Anything. In one box, I found a folder from the sale of my company. Inside were congratulations cards from colleagues and business associates. One card was from a woman named Vivian Krause. She was an attorney I had met at a business conference years ago. Her card was stapled inside with a handwritten note. "Daniela, congratulations on your success. You are an inspiration. If you ever need anything, day or night, call me. I specialize in elder abuse and exploitation. I have seen too many brilliant women lose everything to family members who should protect them. Keep my number, Vivian." I stared at that card. It was 11 at night. The hearing was at 9 in the morning. I had no phone. But I had Brandon's laptop. He had left it on the kitchen counter, still open, charging. I waited until I heard snoring from multiple rooms. Then I crept out to the kitchen. The laptop was unlocked. I opened the email browser. I typed frantically, my fingers shaking. I explained everything. The forged power of attorney, the staged incidents, the medical manipulation, the guardianship petition, the hearing in the morning. I attached the photos I had taken of the forged document. I hit send at 11:43. Then I deleted the sent email from his sent folder and closed the laptop exactly how I had found it. I went back to the guest room and lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to the ocean outside. Vivian Krause either checked her email late at night or she did not. I either just saved myself or I had accomplished nothing. The hearing was in 9 hours. At 8 in the morning, Brandon knocked on my door. "Mom, get dressed. We have an appointment." I put on my nicest outfit, a simple navy dress, pearl earrings. I wanted to look put together and competent. Brandon watched me get ready with this satisfied expression, like he had already won. Courtney drove us to the courthouse. None of them told me it was a guardianship hearing. They just said appointment like I was too confused to understand what was happening. We walked into the courthouse and toward the courtroom. Brandon had his arm around my shoulders, guiding me like I was fragile. His attorney Gary, a slick-looking man with too much hair gel, was waiting outside the courtroom. Then I saw her. A woman in an expensive charcoal suit was sitting on one of the benches in the hallway. She had dark hair pulled back severely and eyes that could cut glass. When she saw me, she stood. "Daniela?" she said. I nodded, not trusting my voice. "I am Vivian Krause." Brandon's face went white. What is she doing here? We walked into the courtroom. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman named Michelle Torres, was already seated. Vivian stood and announced, "Your Honor, I am Vivian Krause, representing Miss Daniela Hernandez. I filed my appearance at 7 this morning via the court's electronic filing system. We oppose this petition." Gary scrambled to look at his papers. Brandon looked like he might be sick. The hearing began. Gary presented the case against me. He had Dr. Hartman's notes. He had the photos of the burned pot. He had witness statements from Brandon, Courtney, and Courtney's entire family. He had the video of someone on the beach at 4 in the morning. He had Amanda's written statement. It looked bad. It looked really bad. Then Vivian began her cross-examination. She questioned Dr. Hartman, who had been subpoenaed to appear. "Doctor, who filled out the intake paperwork at Miss Hernandez's appointment?" "I believe her son did." "Did you observe the patient alone at any point?" "No, her son remained in the room throughout." "Is it possible that his presence influenced her responses? That she might have seemed more anxious or defensive because he was contradicting her?" Dr. Hartman paused. "It is possible." Vivian turned to Brandon. "Mr. Cole, when did you first become concerned about your mother's mental capacity?" "A few months ago. She started seeming forgetful." Vivian produced a document. "This is an email you sent to your mother 2 months ago. In it, you ask her for a loan of $20,000. In the email, you write, and I quote, 'I know you are sharp as ever and can see this is a solid investment.' Does that sound like you were concerned about her mental state?" Brandon's mouth opened and closed. "I was just being nice. Or you were acknowledging that she was completely competent until you decided you wanted her house?" Gary objected, but the damage was done. Vivian questioned Courtney about the burned pot. "What time did this incident occur?" "Around 7 in the morning. I found it on the stove." "What was your mother-in-law cooking at 7 in the morning?" "I do not know. She did not say." "Did you ask her?" "She was confused about it." "Or she was confused because she did not do it?" Vivian produced photos from my iPad. Miss Hernandez has been documenting her daily activities. She has not used the stove a single time since your family arrived. She has been eating cold cereal and sandwiches. Because your family has taken over her kitchen. Then Vivian placed the forged power of attorney on the judge's bench. "Your Honor, this document was found in Mr. Cole's possession. It purports to grant him power of attorney over his mother. The signature is forged. Note the date. It predates Miss Hernandez even purchasing the beach house. This was planned before she ever moved in." She handed the judge a handwriting expert's report. The expert had analyzed the signature overnight. It was a forgery. Judge Torres looked at Brandon with disgust. The hearing ended with Judge Torres denying the emergency petition. She ordered an independent psychiatric evaluation. She lifted the freeze on my accounts, and she issued a temporary restraining order. "Mr. Cole, you and your wife and all members of your extended family are hereby ordered to vacate Miss Hernandez's property immediately. You must be off the premises by 6 o'clock tonight. If you are found on the property after that time, you will be arrested for trespassing." She set a full hearing for 3 weeks out, but I knew there would not be one. Brandon's case was destroyed. In the hallway, Brandon tried to approach me. Vivian stepped between us. "Do not speak to my client. You have until 6 to vacate. If you are on her property after that, I will have you arrested." Courtney was crying. Diane looked shocked. Frank was red-faced and furious. We drove back to the beach house separately. Vivian followed me in her own car. When we arrived, Brandon and his family were already there, packing. But the packing was violent, aggressive. I walked through my house and saw what they were doing. The master bedroom's sliding glass door was shattered. They claimed it was an accident. The toilets were clogged. They said they did not know what happened. The hardwood floors in the hallway had obscenities scratched into them in places that would be covered by furniture. They were taking appliances, light fixtures, anything that was not literally bolted down. They were destroying my house on their way out. Vivian documented everything with her phone, taking videos and photos. "This is criminal mischief. We will add it to the civil suit." By 5:30, they were loading the last of their belongings. Brandon stood in the driveway, staring at me with pure hatred. "This is not over," he said. "You are going to wish you had taken the guest room. We are not going to let you enjoy a single day in this house." Then they drove away. Vivian stayed with me for a while, helping me assess the damage. It was extensive. Thousands of dollars in repairs needed. But I had my house back. Vivian left around 8, promising to come back in the morning to start the civil suit. I was alone in my destroyed house for the first time in days. I should have felt relieved. I should have felt victorious. But Brandon's words kept echoing in my mind. "This is not over." At midnight, I was in the kitchen, trying to clean up some of the mess, when I heard the sliding glass door in the master bedroom slide open. The one they had broken. I had not repaired it yet. Someone was in my house. I grabbed my phone and ran into the guest room, locking the door. I called 911, whispering frantically. There were people in my house, multiple people. I could hear them ransacking rooms. They were saying things to each other. "Find the documents. She must have copies somewhere. Check every drawer." The police arrived within 6 minutes. I heard the intruders run. By the time the officers came inside, they were gone. But the damage was done. The house was torn apart, drawers dumped, closets emptied, papers scattered everywhere. The police wrote up a report. They said they would investigate. But they did not sound hopeful. The intruders had worn gloves. No fingerprints. No clear evidence of who it was. But I knew. Brandon and Courtney had sent people to steal the evidence of their fraud. I stood in my destroyed dream home, police lights flashing outside, and realized the legal victory had been just the beginning. They had escalated to criminal activity. I was in actual physical danger now. The next day, I found a letter slipped under my front door. Block letters cut from magazines, like something from a movie. Drop the investigation, or things get worse. I showed it to Vivian. She was furious. We went to the police together. They took the letter as evidence, but they said without proof of who sent it, there was not much they could do. They suggested I install a security system. I spent $2,000 that day on cameras, motion sensors, and new locks. A company came out and installed everything within hours. I was not taking any chances. For the next few days, things were quiet. Too quiet. I barely slept. Every sound made me jump. I kept the lights on all night. I checked the cameras obsessively. On day 3 after the hearing, I went out to my car in the morning and all 4 tires were slashed. On day 4, I started receiving phone calls. Just silence on the other end. They came every hour, all day and all night. Different numbers each time. I blocked them, but new ones kept calling. On day 5, Brandon filed a criminal complaint against me. He claimed I had stolen $50,000 from him 5 years ago. He had receipts, he had bank statements, he had a paper trail. It was all fabricated. I had never taken money from Brandon, but the accusation alone was enough to freeze my accounts again pending investigation. I was back to having no access to money. Vivian was fighting on every front, but she was one person against a coordinated attack. On day 6, the stress broke me. I was in the kitchen making coffee when my chest started hurting. Sharp, stabbing pain down my left arm. I could not breathe. I called 911 and collapsed on the floor. The ambulance came. They rushed me to the hospital. The doctors ran tests. It was not a heart attack, they said. It was stress-induced angina. My heart was fine structurally, but the stress was literally affecting my heart function. They kept me overnight for observation. Vivian came to visit. I was hooked up to monitors, exhausted, defeated. I cannot do this anymore, I told her. Maybe I should just sell the house and move away. Let them win. I do not have the strength for this. Vivian sat down next to my bed. Daniela, I have been doing this work for 20 years. I have seen strong women destroyed by their own families. I have also seen strong women fight back and win. You are a fighter. You built a company from nothing. You survived in a male-dominated industry. You are not done yet. I am tired. I know. But if you give up now, they will do this to someone else. Men like Brandon do not stop with one victim. But I barely heard her. I just wanted peace. I just wanted to be left alone. They released me from the hospital the next morning. Vivian drove me home. My house was still damaged from the break-in. The repairs were going to take weeks. Everything felt overwhelming. That afternoon, Brandon filed another emergency guardianship petition. He used my hospitalization as evidence that I could not care for myself. There was a hearing scheduled in 2 days. I sat on my couch and cried. I had no more fight left. Vivian was making phone calls, preparing for the hearing, but even she looked worried. We will fight this, she said. But I am not going to lie to you. The hospitalization does not look good. That evening, I was sitting alone when there was a knock at my door. I checked the security camera. It was Diane, Courtney's mother. I was terrified. I did not answer. She knocked again. Then she bent down and slid an envelope under the door. I watched on the camera as she walked back to her car and drove away. I stared at that envelope for 10 minutes before I had the courage to open it. Inside was a handwritten letter. Daniela, I need to tell you what is really happening. I have been part of something terrible, and I cannot live with myself anymore. Brandon and Courtney planned this entire thing. They have been planning it for months. Courtney convinced me that it was for family security, that you had more than you needed, that you would be happier in a smaller place. I believed her. I went along with it because she is my daughter, and I thought we were helping. But after the courthouse, after seeing Brandon threaten you, after hearing about the break-in and the stalking and the slashed tires, I cannot be part of this anymore. My daughter married a dangerous man, and I enabled him. I am so sorry. The letter went on. Diane confessed to everything. She had recorded family meetings on her phone where Brandon and Courtney discussed the plan. She had text messages between Brandon and Gary, his attorney, discussing the forgeries. She admitted that all the incidents were staged. She provided bank records showing that Brandon had actually stolen money from my accounts before they were frozen, and then claimed I had stolen from him. She gave me evidence of everything. At the end of the letter, she wrote, I lost my own mother to Alzheimer's disease 5 years ago. It was the worst experience of my family's life. Watching her decline, watching her lose herself, it destroyed us. To see Brandon and Courtney use that disease as a weapon, to fake those symptoms to steal from you, it made me physically ill. I cannot be part of this anymore. I am divorcing myself from this entire scheme. I hope you can forgive me someday. I am including everything I have. Use it. Destroy them. Attached to the letter was a thumb drive. I sat on my couch with that thumb drive in my hand and felt something shift inside me. The fear dropped away. The exhaustion burned off. I stood up and looked at myself in the mirror over the mantel. I was not a victim. I was Daniela Hernandez. I had built an empire. I had survived things that would have destroyed weaker people, and I was not going to let my own son steal from me. I called Vivian. Come over. Now. I have everything we need. She arrived within an hour. We spent all night going through Diane's evidence. Recordings, text messages, bank records. It was all there. Every lie, every forgery, every crime. By morning, Vivian had a plan. The hearing was today, and we were going to end this. The courtroom was packed. Brandon and Courtney sat with Gary, looking confident. They thought this was going to be like the last hearing, but this time they had my hospitalization on their side. Judge Torres entered and we all stood. She looked at the paperwork in front of her and frowned. This was supposed to be a guardianship hearing, but I am seeing a motion from Miss Levin in Fortival. Kraus to convert this to a criminal referral hearing? Vivian stood. Yes, Your Honor. New evidence has come to light that changes the nature of these proceedings entirely. Gary jumped up. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. We were prepared to discuss Miss Hernandez's capacity. Sit down, Counselor, Judge Torres said. I will hear Miss Krause's motion. Vivian presented everything. She played the recordings Diane had made. Brandon's voice filled the courtroom as he discussed how to make me seem incompetent, how to stage incidents, how to time the guardianship petition. She showed text messages between Brandon and Gary discussing the forged power of attorney. Gary's face went gray as his own words were read aloud. She presented bank records showing Brandon had stolen $37,000 from my accounts over the past 6 months, then filed false theft charges against me to cover his tracks. She had photos of the damaged house, videos of the destroyed rooms, evidence of the break-in, the slashed tires, the threatening letter. By the time she finished, Brandon was sweating. Courtney was crying. Gary looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Judge Torres looked at them with pure contempt. Mr. Cole, you have committed fraud, forgery, attempted theft, and elder abuse. Miss Cole, you were complicit in all of it. Mr. Cole Sanchli Ever and Divinover 18. Gary Thompson, you have violated every ethical rule of the legal profession. She denied the guardianship petition permanently. She referred Brandon and Courtney to the district attorney for criminal charges. She referred Gary to the state bar for disbarment proceedings. She ordered them to pay full restitution for all damages to my property and all my legal fees. She issued a 5-year restraining order preventing them from coming within 500 feet of me. You are fortunate I cannot send you to jail from this bench, she told Brandon. But I assure you, the criminal system will handle that. In the hallway after, Vivian hugged me. You did it. I felt tears running down my face, but they were not tears of sadness. They were relief. Pure, overwhelming relief. Over the next few weeks, things slowly got better. Brandon and Courtney were charged with multiple felonies. Gary was disbarred. Amanda flew in from across the country crying and apologizing. She had no idea what Brandon had been doing. We held each other and cried and started rebuilding our relationship. Frank called to apologize. He had been horrified when Diane told him the truth. He offered to help repair my house himself as penance. I let him. He spent 3 weeks fixing the sliding door, the floors, replacing the things they had stolen. It was his way of trying to make amends. My friends Patricia and others rallied around me. My new community, once they heard the real story, welcomed me with open arms. The local paper ran a story about elder exploitation, using my case as an example of how to fight back. The surprise I had prepared for Brandon and Courtney, the one mentioned at the very beginning, it was this. I had been documenting everything from the very first phone call. I had a voice-activated recorder in my pocket from day one. I had been gathering evidence the entire time, even when I seemed defeated. I was always 3 steps ahead, even when I appeared weak. I was never as helpless as I seemed. I learned something through all of this. I learned that people who should love you can betray you in ways you never imagined. But I also learned that strangers can become angels. Vivian, who barely knew me, fought for me like I was her own mother. Diane, who had been my enemy, found the courage to do the right thing. Judge Torres, who did not know me at all, saw through the lies and delivered justice. I learned that appearing weak is not the same as being powerless. Sometimes looking vulnerable is the best way to let your enemies underestimate you, while you gather the ammunition to destroy them. Most importantly, I learned that you are never too old to fight for yourself. My age was supposed to be my weakness. Brandon thought being 62 meant I was fragile, confused, easy to manipulate. Instead, it meant I had 62 years of strength, experience, and survival skills to draw on. Now I sit in my master bedroom, the one I rightfully claimed back, watching the sunset over the ocean through my new sliding glass door. I have a glass of wine in my hand. The house is quiet, except for the sound of waves. This is the peace I worked 40 years to earn. Brandon will spend the next few years dealing with criminal charges. I feel sadness for what he became, but I do not regret fighting back. You cannot let people destroy you just because they share your DNA. I whisper to myself in the golden evening light, I earned this peace, Every day of the battle was worth it for this moment. And I finally, truly enjoy my retirement. Now, I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to stand up to someone you loved because they were treating you wrong? How did you find the courage to fight back when everyone else thought you should just accept it? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is facing a similar battle right now. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories of people who refuse to be victims. And share this with anyone who needs to hear that it is never too late to fight for yourself. You have more strength than you know. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it gives you the courage to fight your own battles, whatever they may be. Remember, you are never too old, never too weak, and never too alone to stand up for what is right. May you find your own peace, and may you have the strength to fight for it when necessary.